Hey guys, welcome back to the Jay's Fit Down podcast. I'm your host Jaden. Once again, here to update you on everything going on here in football with the NFL, college football, and high school. But today we're going to be talking about the NFL, of course, and as we look into Week 18, we're almost there. Can believe it. The season is basically almost over. We got one more weekend of football, and then we're heading into postseason play. I'm excited, and all you guys are excited as we get ready for the playoffs here, and it's going to be a great one because it's a lot of parity this year. As you know, I mentioned many times on this podcast, it's very much parity between all these teams. A lot of teams are contending this year for the postseason, and you got a lot of teams that can just go in there and make a run and make something happen. I mean, who knows? We might have another Cincinnati Bengals team, Cinderella-like team, come in there and just shock everybody and go all the way to the Super Bowl and have a chance to win it that we never thought would do so. Shoot, could it be the Jags? We don't know. But we'll get to that in a second here in the podcast. But first, I want to thank you guys again for tuning in, watching, listening, wherever you get your favorite podcast, of course, and we're on YouTube here as well. So make sure you subscribe, check us out, comment your thoughts here on the podcast, like, subscribe, all those things. And yeah, so of course, I'm sure everybody's aware of everything that's been happening with Damar Hamlin, the Bills safety who was injured on Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, all of our prayers and thoughts are out to Hamlin, the Bills, his family, and the whole NFL world right now. So we wait to see what happens with Hamlin. So of course, like I said, our prayers and thoughts are out to him and his family right now. We're praying for you, Damar. We hope you get better. Yes, so that's just want everybody to know that. And so, just for an update on Hamlin, he suffered cardiac arrest. Is what happened on Monday night. He suffered cardiac arrest. Went to go make a hit on Bengals wide receiver T Higgins, and he got up and then he fell back down. He collapsed, and so what happened was he suffered cardiac arrest. He was transported to the hospital there in Cincinnati, not too far away from the stadium where he remained. He's where he has been the last couple of days, and he remains in critical condition with signs of improvement. So that's great news. There, his breathing is from what I hear, his breathing is good. So that's good. Good vital signs are normal. However, he is expected to remain in intensive care while under the watch of these of medical professionals as they continue to try to treat him. So again, just to let you know, that's the update on that. And we have not received any news as far as when the rescheduling of the Bengals and Bills game will be. But of course, that is secondary right now. Nobody cares about that. What we care about is this man's health and his safety. That's what we care about. We care if he's okay. I think a big thing that people don't understand about football, especially with the NFL, is these guys are humans too. These are people. At the end of the day, these guys are going out there doing what they do every day on Sundays and sometimes Thursday nights, Monday night, whatever the case may be, to entertain, of course, and to make money. This is the dream. This is the NFL is the top of the top. You can't go any higher than this. You can't. There is nothing higher. There is nothing better than the NFL. You go. It starts in Pee Wee, then you go to elementary football and middle school, high school, college, of course, which is great. But then you reach the NFL, which is the pinnacle, the absolute pinnacle of it all, at the absolute top. That is your dream. Those are those players' dreams. They've been dreaming about since they were little kids. And they make it there. They do this for a living. And I think at the end of the day, us as fans, and sometimes even media members, we tend to, derive them of their humanity, and that's not good. These guys are humans. They put their lives out on the line really every day. Whether it's in practice, or in the games, because this is a violent game. Football is a violent game. It's fun. We love it. I think it makes you tough. I think it makes you a man, but also it teaches you great life lessons as well, character lessons, and how to bond with people and develop those bonds. And just hard work and dedication and discipline. It teaches a lot of good core values, and it's a great sport. We love it for that. However, it is again a physical and violent sport, and injuries happen, things happen, but. And so I think we need to understand that more. These guys are humans, they're people, and that, we get mad that, oh, well, he didn't do anything for my fantasy team today, man. This or that, or he got hurt and this and that, man. They messed up my, you ruined our chances of getting to the playoffs or whatever, things like that, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I think we need to stop and actually address the fact that these people are humans. These are people at the end of the day, going out there, putting their lives on the line just to play this wonderful game, to entertain, to make money, to make a living, So I just think that we need to acknowledge that. So that's just my whole thoughts on that. But again, prayers up to Damar Hamlin, his family, the whole Bills organization, Bengals as well, just the whole NFL world right now as we await the news to see what happens with him. So just again, keeping him in our thoughts and prayers here at Jace with Down. And yeah, again, so just to reiterate, yeah, he's still in critical condition. He remains in the intensive care unit, so they're watching over him, just working on him over there, and but as far as everything, breathing signs were normal. He's doing good there. So just continue, guys. Please keep him in your prayers. Please keep the family in your prayers as well. Just as we continue to wait to see what happens there with Damar Hamlin. Great guy, second year safety. Out of Pittsburgh, is going to having a promising year. He's a great young man too, from what I understand. So, you just hate to see things like this happen. But moving on here, some more NFL news as we continue here. The Bengals and Ravens will be kicking off at 1 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. NFL just made that scheduling update not too long ago, a couple hours ago. So just to let you guys know that. So that game will not be kicking off at 4:25, but instead at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So just so everybody is aware of that. And yeah, guys, yeah, we're heading into the playoffs. This is exciting. Got a lot of teams that it's gonna make it interesting. I think this might be the most interesting year in the NFL as far as everything going on, like these different teams that we have in the playoffs and stuff like that, or that that in the playoffs that can make a run or whatever, then years pass. It's been some time since we've had that happen, so I'm really excited to see what happens, especially this weekend is very important. We have a lot of games that are playoff impacting here, as far as seeding wise and things of that nature. Just seeing, it's very important this weekend is, so we got some games on Saturday. They're going to be big too. So, like the Jags and Titans are playing, Chiefs and Raiders, of course. Chiefs need to get a win there, for their sake. But I do want, before we get to the playoff talk, I did want to go over the Jim Harbaugh topic that's been of interest lately. And is he leaving Michigan for the NFL finally, or is he not? Is he going to stay at Michigan? This or that, And so, for what we're hearing, Harbaugh he said he's feeling like he's going to stay at Michigan and coach, but at the same time, there have been reports that have been leaked out that he's talked with Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper already about coaching. Not an interview; they just had a conversation about it. And that there is some sincere interest from Harbaugh's point of view on the coaching position there, the opening head coaching position there. Now I think personally, I believe that the Panthers should keep Steve Wilkes as a head coach, because the job that he's done, turning them around in the short span, after they fired Matt Rule, and what he's done, just keeping them fighting, and contending for a playoff spot, even though they lost it. But just to have that team to fight and run the football the way they have, just being physical, and the Panthers just play differently, near the middle towards the back, half of the season. They've just been playing differently. They've been competing harder, better. Playing harder, running the football effectively. This has all been without a consistent play at the quarterback position. It's hard. People don't understand how hard it is. Your quarterback, who you have at quarterback, affects the whole team. Because if the offense is not being operated the way it should be under a good quarterback, under a quarterback who has control over offense and the locker room, things of that nature, and it is not leading, or who is leading, that can go a long way for a team that has a quarterback that's like that. The guys want to play for them, but when you have inconsistent play at that position, it can be very hard, and it just affects the whole team's morale. I think that's what we've been seeing with the Panthers the past couple of years. They just have not found any consistency at the quarterback position. Sam Darnold last year, and this year is Baker Mayfield for quite some time. We all know how that worked out, and now he's out in LA. So, and then you have the Jets, Zach Wilson, so the quarterback position, of course, is as they say, the most valuable position on the field, which, yes, that is true, can't be argued, but it is. And I believe that, if you don't have a good quarterback, you're just not going to win with a good quarterback in today's league. Okay, let me say this: a quarterback that does not have control over the team, that quarterback that is not at the backbone of the team and the franchise. That's because when you have a guy that's willing to put it out there every single day, setting that high standard for his teammates and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna go out here, we're gonna win this game today, guys. We're gonna go win this game. We gotta do our jobs and go out there and win. Guys want to play for a quarterback like that, guys like Joe Burrow, guys like that. People want to play for him, because he's a winner at heart. He knows what it takes to get the job done. He expects everybody to do their jobs, but at the same time, he doesn't berate people, or he doesn't ridicule or criticize or do anything like that. He's a team player. He's a team player, and that's what you need at that position. You need a guy that everybody's going to rally behind. They know he's going to do his job, and he knows everybody else is going to do their job, right? So that's the thing about it. But when you have somebody that doesn't hold anybody accountable, including themselves, then that's where we have problems, because it's so inconsistent. There is no fluidity there. There is no consistency there, and that's the issue. When you have that, and the offense is not able to produce as they should, then you're at a point where your franchise is not going to win very many games. And so that's where a lot of teams have been the last 5, 4, 6 years or so. You look at the Washington football team, or the Commanders, as they're called now. They change their name every year. The Panthers, the Broncos, of course, who we thought Russell Wilson was going to be the guy, but that's a whole different conversation. And that's just the thing about it, man. You have to have a guy there who's going to rally his team behind them, and come together and play. This is a team game, and be able to go out there and win football games. Because the defense is going to rally around them as well. It's like, hey, you know what? Offense is going to do their thing. We already know what they're going to do. They're going to score points, and let us have adequate time to rest and get back on the field when we need to get back on the field, and they're putting points on the board. That way they're not giving us short fields, to work with. They're not going 3 and out and giving us short fields, and that's because that makes it tougher on us as a defense. So we trust they're going to do their job, right? So that's the big thing about it, I believe. So, and I think Carolina is a team that, Steve Wilkes has done a great job amidst of all of that craziness that they've gone through there, just to be able to get that team to win some football games and keeping them alive in that playoff race. So I think he should remain the head coach, but who knows what might happen. Broncos were another name that was thrown in there about Jim Harbaugh, so who knows what's going to happen. He might end up staying in Michigan, like he's, the same thing happened last year, and they were like, oh, is Jim Harbaugh going to leave? And he ends up staying, so I think the same thing's going to happen this year. I think he's going to end up staying, but then again, I could be wrong, and he could go to the NFL and coach. So who knows? But moving on here, again, the playoff impacting games this weekend, we have a lot of them. I want to just go over a few of them briefly here, but the biggest one for me, or one of the biggest ones for me, is the Jaguars and the Titans. Obviously, this is the AFC South playoff race you're talking about. The Titans are like on thin ice right now. They got to get a win. They haven't been officially eliminated yet, but they need a win, and I think it's going to be very hard to do that without your starting caliber quarterback right there. Obviously, they're going to be missing Ryan Tannehill. Malik Willis will not be playing, but Joshua Dobbs will be the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, as announced already by Coach Vrabel. And the Titans, he will be starting for them on Saturday against Jacksonville. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, they lost against the Cowboys last week. So I don't know. Injury bug. He has played the Titans as well. That's a lot of teams. So it happens, right? These things happen. For the Jaguars' sake of things, we just got to give credit, and we've done this. Nick Winkler talked about it on the podcast the other day, but we got to give the Jaguars credit here. He's been talking about them on the podcast here the whole year. Like, they don't watch out for the Jags. The Jags is, the Jags. They're, and yeah, I got to give them credit with what they've done. After the whole Urban Meyer experiment failed them miserably last season, and this to come out this year under Doug Peterson, who's a new coach, and what he's been able to get out of Trevor Lawrence. You see an increase in his play. He's played considerably better. Even after this season, like his play this season has improved between week 1 all the way up until now. It's improved drastically. And the Jaguars have been winning big games and meaningful football games. They've been winning them. They beat the Cowboys, of course, at home on that thriller the other day. So they're just a team that they're gritty. They're gonna go get it done. And to me, I think they're a team to watch out for in the playoffs. I really do. I mean, like, I think the Jags can make a run. I really do. I think this is a team that they believe they can compete with anybody. I mean, they might not match up well with everybody on paper as far as talent wise, but that, hey, at the end of the day, talent. If you have the heart, you got the dog in you. You can win. I mean, it just. I mean, look at TCU. You switch to college for like TCU. I mean, this is a team that they're talented, but it's compared to the likes of Alabama or Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State. It's a considerable amount of discrepancy there between the talent levels of TCU and those other teams, those juggernauts that we see in the college football playoff every year. TCU, they fight, they play hard, they play physical, and they're gritty. Teams like that are the teams that can go really far. They have nothing to lose, and so they play hard, they compete. And I think the Jaguars are kind of like that. They're greedy, they're gonna fight. Doug Peterson has them fighting. They rally around him. He's built the culture right now to the point where they believe that they can go out there and win against any team in the league. And so that Jacksonville's definitely a team to keep an eye on. And Giants and Eagles as well as a matchup this weekend that I think we should all keep an eye on as well. I mean, the Giants are pretty much locked into their playoff spot, so they can't improve their seed any much, and they can't get really any worse. You wonder if they're gonna play their starters or not. And Eagles say that Jalen Hurts is slated to return after missing the last two games against the Cowboys and the Saints, both of those being losses. For the Eagles there, so they're glad to have him back. But at the same time, do you want to rush him back out there? Because then again, this is a shoulder injury. For a quarterback, that's a tough thing. He gets hit the wrong way, and you're talking about possible, God forbid, but permanent damage to that. You don't want that. And so I don't want that as a fan of football. To see Jalen Hurts get hurt like that, or anything like that, and no pun intended. And nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that get worse, and you don't want to see him putting himself out there if really not need be. I mean, you look at the Giants again. Most likely they're not going to be playing their starters, so you really could go out there and get a win against them. Maybe. I mean, yeah, I don't. At this point, then again, is seeding really all that important? Yes, it is. You want home field advantage. I understand that, but at the same time, it's your health. Is the health of your quarterback not as important, or it's equally important as playoff seeding? So that's something that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to ask themselves head into this weekend. So do you really want to put Jalen Hurts back out there? I don't know. And another game would be for me the Lions and the Packers. Detroit has played really well this season. After starting off, I believe 1-6 or something like that, and they look putrid early in the year defensively. They look putrid. Offense has been playing well pretty much the whole year. And Jared Goff has been serviceable for that team. He's done good. I think he would play like this season for them, but he has, and they're winning football games. So and now we get to the point where we're week 18, and they're going against a Packers team that's hot themselves. That they won the last couple of games. They're looking good. They're starting to find their mojo. And they're coming off a beatdown against the Vikings on Sunday. So. This is going to be an interesting game too. I mean, I really think that the Lions are a team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs. They don't want to play the Lions the first round because again, grittiness, the grit, the toughness, the competitiveness that Dan Campbell has that team playing with, and they're confident. Confident young teams are scary in the NFL and in the NBA because they can go get hot, and they can go get going, in the nick of time. And so that's the thing about it, I mean, and especially if they come off a win on Sunday against a division rival like the Packers. I mean, that's the thing about it, man. It's really interesting. So, for Green Bay's sake as well. I mean, does anybody want to play the Packers in the first round of the playoffs? I don't know, man. Red hot Aaron Rodgers in that offense, that way they can run the football with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, and so that's the only thing I believe with them is that they play a team that like the 49ers, for example, if they stifle that run game and they got that great pass rush, would those young receivers be able to step up and help out Aaron Rodgers in the passing game? That's the only thing I'll be concerned about if I was a Packers fan. If they get to the playoffs and you got to play a team like them or the Eagles first round, right? Those great defenses. So that's the only thing I'll be concerned about for the Packers. But yeah, my sleeper teams that can give a big contender trouble in this year's playoffs are the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Detroit Lions, and the Green Bay Packers. I'm calling it right now. Those are my teams I think can go and make a run against some of these other teams. And who knows, man? Go far. That's what I think. So I really believe that they can. And this is going to be, again, a great weekend of football. We got games on Saturday and Sunday, so make sure you guys check those out, your local listings, to see what time those games start for your respective teams and see what days they play on. And again, this has been the Jay Sweet Now Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay. Check us out here on YouTube. Subscribe, comment your thoughts. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Check us out there as well. Hope you guys have the rest of your day. And again, of course, all prayers and thoughts out to the Hamlin family, DeMar Hamlin. Hope you feel better, brother. We're praying for you, and to the Buffalo Bills organization as well. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.